Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Confessions of a Shopaholic. My name is Quipo, and I'm a shopaholic. Before we get into the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, click the little bell so you can turn on the post notifications and get notified every time we post a video, and let's get into it. So today, what I need to do is take care of this mess. This is some signs that you're a shopaholic. It doesn't necessarily mean you're messy. It doesn't mean nothing other than you have too many clothes, can never find the right thing to wear, and yeah, this was clean, but even when it was clean, the drawer was kind of tight. So yeah, let's fix that. So this is how I organize my drawers. Start fresh. Let me put my hair up. Sorry, it's like super hot in here with the lights, and I usually keep my AC on all day every day, but I know it's gonna be loud, so I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear me good. Whenever my drawers get super messy like that, yeah, that's a sign I need to get rid of stuff. I always buy, but I'm like, you can't keep buying and not get rid of nothing. And I'm not gonna lie, like half of this shit probably doesn't even fit me anymore, but let's get through this. I do want to tell a little story time of me giving up a federal job. I'm not gonna say where the job was. I will describe it, and most likely just from me simply describing it, you're gonna be like, I know what she's talking about, because it's a very known, a very common, like everyone has this company. It's a good job. It really is. So if you know me or you've watched my other videos, you've known that I said that I've worked in customer service retail for a very long time. My first job I got when I was 15, and I worked ever since then. And retail customer service have been the easiest thing for me to get into, to do, mostly because I was working and going to school at the same time. When of course when I was in high school, and then I went to college. Went to college for about 3 years, got my associate's degree in marketing, and as of this day I'm kind of not doing anything with it. Am I proud of it? Yes, I'm proud that I went to school. I'm proud I graduated. Like, I loved going to college. Sorry guys, I wanted to move you guys a little bit closer because I don't know how well you can hear me, and I'm trying not to yell, but yeah, I kind of don't know where I'm going with this story. I know what I want to say, but for some reason I just can't get the words out of my mouth and fold these clothes at the same time. But anyways, I went to college for 3 years, and during that 3-year period of time I was working sometimes one part-time job and going to college full-time, sometimes 2 part-time jobs, going to college at the same time. And then after I graduated college, I had a kind of a hard time finding a full-time job right off the bat. So at one point I worked 3 part-time jobs just to work. Obviously I'm an adult, I have bills to pay, I have things to take care of, so it wasn't a problem. Just, you know, ideally I would want to work a full-time job. So in 2015 I got my first full-time job, and it was at a credit union. So the job was ideal, don't get me wrong. There's just a lot of things going on at the place that I was working at that just wasn't right. So after 3 years, for reasons I don't talk about, I stopped working there. And I was a little disappointed in a way, just because, you know, I thought that was gonna be like my forever job. But it's alright, like things happen for a reason. It's a blessing in disguise, like it's fine. So after I left the credit union, I ended up getting a full-time job at a retail store again, and I was kind of embarrassed. Like I was trying so hard not to go back to retail, but because of all the experience I have and the years I've been doing it, honestly it's what I'm good at. I don't necessarily enjoy doing it, but I know what I'm doing, so it's easier for me to get a retail job. Mind you, when I got that retail job, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell my parents, because that's how embarrassed I was, and I shouldn't be. I don't know why. I'm very emotional, so things do affect me. And even my mom was like, don't you want to go work here instead? And I'm like, that's not the point. So once I started working there a little bit more, I've had customers come in that I've known from the credit union, and I've known from other jobs that I've had. I've worked as a receptionist at one time too, and they looked at me and they judged me, and they're like, I've had them straight up to my face ask me, why are you here? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you were working here before, you were working there before, why are you here? Like, that store that I was at wasn't good enough. And I'm like, well, it pays the bills. And I didn't know how to answer them, because I'm like, how do you tell someone, like, what do you mean, why am I here? Like, it's a job, I'm working. Like, I took it really hard. Like I said, I didn't tell anybody where I worked. I didn't want anyone to know where I worked because of the judgment. And there was times where, like, I wanted to cry, because I'm like, why is it such a problem? Like, just because I'm working here, why is that such a bad thing? And I had to tell myself, like, who cares what they say? Just because they're saying, why are you here? Like, who cares? They're shopping here, so why do they have a problem with you working here if they're shopping here, right? But anyways, yeah, long story short, I became very successful within a short period of time at that company, and I appreciated it. Don't get me wrong, I really did. I started off as a regular retail sales worker, got promoted within 6 months to a lead. Then I got promoted to assistant manager, and then the company opened a brand new store somewhere else, and I became the manager of that brand new store. So I knew the opportunities I had with that company. I knew what they did for me and what they gave to me. So I appreciate it. I honestly do. Even though, like, I'm saying, like, yeah, I was kind of embarrassed to be working there because of all the judgment I got, I appreciated the company for what they did for me. Um, the new store was good. I loved the store. I loved, just everything about it except the location. The location was 45 minutes away from our house, to and from. And for some people that might be nothing. Like, I get it, some people drive 2 hours just to go to work, but for me it was really taking a toll on me. I didn't want to do the location anymore. I didn't want to do the drive anymore. I was so used to just leaving my house 15-20 minutes before I had to go to work, because it got me, I could get to work to and from that fast. So I started applying at other places closer to town, and that's where this federal company comes into play. One day I was looking at their website, and they had a clerk position open, so I applied for the clerk position. The very next day I went back onto the website, and they had a driver's position open, I guess we can say. So I applied for the driver's position. And mind you, it's August right now. This was way back in April. I applied in April. That's how long ago. So as the time went by, I checked my application online, and I got denied for the clerk position, which was fine because I got accepted for the driver's position. And all the communication was through email. So when I first got that email saying, hey, you got accepted, now you have, by the way guys, if you can see this is a pimple patch. Who cares? I don't care. Yeah, they're like, hey, so you got accepted for this driver's position, do this, this, and this. And at first, the way the email looked like I thought it was a scam. Like, is this real? Are they, like, is this really from the company? And I was hesitant, and even asked one of my friends, I'm like, does this sound real? And she's like, I think it is, just try it. So I waited like a day before I actually replied. I'm sorting through what I'm keeping and what I'm not, but this is still a mess. I'm gonna have to redo it after, but I can't do that and talk at the same time. But anyways, so yes, I took a day to reply, and that's when I realized it was legit. So from April, I did the email. I forget what the very first one was about, and this was a whole long process. Like, it was a super long process. So after that, they sent another email saying, I guess basically it was just like a consideration, like, are you still considering it? You're accepted, it's still open, but do you really want it? And I said yes. So after that email was another email basically saying, we conditionally offer you this position at our company, do you want it, yes or no? So I replied again, yes. And then they're like, okay, here's the next steps, 3 steps. 2 of them is online paperwork, so I did the 2 online paperwork, and the 3rd one was fingerprinting. But they're not specific with their emails at all. So the fingerprinting was like, oh, you have to get it done within 5. Oh, you have to email this, email to schedule your fingerprinting, and it has to be done within 5 days. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. So I emailed to schedule my fingerprinting, and let's just say it was a Monday. By Wednesday, I didn't hear back nothing. So I started to panic. I was like, did my fingerprinting need to be done in 5 days, or did the scheduling of my fingerprinting need to be done in 5 days? So I even went down, not to the specific, they have different locations, so not to the specific location that I was going to be hired at. I went to the one closer to my house, and I asked, you know, do you guys know? And they're like, you know, it's been so long since we've done it that we can't remember. You should just go down to the other one and ask. And I was like, okay, that's fine. They're super nice. I understood. And right when I left that location, I got the email, okay, your fingerprinting scheduled for next week, Wednesday. So I was like, okay, phew. And when I went to go do my fingerprinting, I didn't realize at the time the guy doing my fingerprinting was gonna be my supervisor. And he was just like, as he was taking my fingerprints, he's like, you know, it's a lot of hours, right? And I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm like happy, cheerful, like I can't believe I got this position, like I'm excited for it, yay. And he was like, you know, it's a lot of hours, right? And I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like 15 hours a day. I'm like, okay. And he's like 80 hours a week. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And I was just like on a high. Like I didn't really take into consideration what he said. I was like, whatever, it's fine. Like I said, I've worked 2-3 part-time jobs, sometimes 3 in one day. I've worked overnight shifts. I work 6 o'clock in the morning. Like it's fine, I can do it. So anyways, after the fingerprinting, he was like, hey, you'll get an email. The email will tell you what to do. So I got another email, and it was basically another, okay, you passed your fingerprinting and background check. Do you still want the job? And I said yes. So I don't know, it was a whole big communication thing. The last thing I remember was in the end of May. It literally took 1 month. I applied in the middle of April, and at the end of May it says you're hired. Your start date is July 17th. So I was all excited. I remember it being a Friday. So knowing I would start on July 17th, they told me I had to do 1 day orientation and 2 weeks of training. So I thought, okay, no big deal, that's fine. But like I said, the communication isn't very good. So I wasn't sure if the 2 weeks of training was before July 17th or after July 17th. Like I thought you need to be trained and ready to start on July 17th. So I was asking my other half, like, when should I put in my 2 weeks notice? Today's Friday. Should I do it today? Should I do it on Monday? Should I just wait till July? And he was like, put it in today. Who cares? So I did. I called my boss and I was like, hey, can you come down and talk to me on your way home? And she was like, oh, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, I just want to tell you something. So she's like, okay. So yeah, I put in my 2 weeks notice, and she was like, where are you going? And I told her, and she was like, oh, good for you, you know, that's a really good job. My son used to work there, and if it doesn't work out, let me know. You can always come back. So I was like thinking in my head, like, hell no, like why would it not work out? It's good, whatever. And I just took it from there. So anyways, my last day of work was June 4th. So June 4th was so bittersweet. Like I was so ready to like leave, but at the same time I was like, what am I doing? Like my job wasn't bad, my job wasn't hard, I was the manager. Like what am I doing? Am I making the right decision? And I kept telling myself, yes I am. Yes I am. It's a good job. I'm going to, the income is gonna be bomb. Like we're good. So yeah, June 4th came and went. Now as June flew by, July came up, and I'm waiting. I'm like, they told me I was supposed to start on July 17th. I was supposed to do 2 weeks of orientation. This is why we held off on my other half's birthday, because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was gonna go on. I didn't know what we're gonna do, because I thought I was gonna be training by then, but it didn't happen. So let's see, July 17th was a Saturday. So I think it was 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th, July 14th, Wednesday. I finally get an email 3 days before I'm supposed to start work. Now, I don't know if you guys remember me saying, but YouTube only allows me 15-minute videos. So I'm gonna cut it off here and stay tuned for part 2, because now we get into actually what happened. But yeah, thanks for sticking with me this far. Part 2, I'm not done here. So I mean, part 2 is literally gonna be right after this. We're gonna continue. And yeah, if you want to hear more about what's going on or what happened or that story, stay tuned for the next one. Bye.